Alright, so this week at the theater is 90s movie week. We're gonna be playing a bunch of classic 90s films. We just hit it off last night. We just did the first Toy Story movie. But now tonight we need another good 90s film. So what's a good movie from the 1990s? Ooh, I know. How about we do the Nickelodeon classic from 1997? Good Burger. One of my all-time favorite comedy films with its memorable characters, simple story but very clever comedy. Good Burger is one of my favorite movies that Nickelodeon has ever made. Alright, let me go grab Good Burger and we'll open up the theater tonight and play Good Burger. Alright, I got the movie in and we'll just get ready to open up the theater tonight and play Good Burger. There's a Good Burger 2? That gives me an idea. How about we do a surprise double feature? We'll play the first Good Burger, and we'll play the second Good Burger. That's genius. And I know people are gonna like it. It has to be a good movie because, I mean, the 90s one was so good. I know they're gonna do a good job with this movie. It's not like they're cashing in or anything. It's gotta be a good movie. Alright, well, I'm gonna open up the theater.
What the hell was that?
Alright, Good Burger 2. I'm here
Yeah.
with Move Out Productions,
What's up,
Matthew.
guys?
Yeah, Good Burger 2, we just watched it not too long ago. It was a movie.
Yeah,
Not a
it
good movie,
was
not a good movie.
Yeah, it was a movie, all right, but it wasn't a good movie. Now I'm gonna
This
be a
whole
little...
movie, it's just... I personally thought the movie, like, going into it, I knew it was just gonna be mid. Like,
Oh.
I was hoping it could be at least a little enjoyable, you know, going in, but, you know, still not great. Nah,
Yeah.
it's not even mediocre, it's just... It's a bad movie, I think. It's just not good.
Exactly, and I remember after I watched it, I actually checked some of the reviews on YouTube about the movie. I just thought people were gonna dogpile on it, but no, people genuinely liked the movie, and I was like, really? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's their opinion, and that's fine. But I was just like so surprised that lots of people were liking the movie. But honestly, me and Braylon were talking about this earlier. We honestly think it's. I'm not trying to like be mean to the people who like it. If you like it, that's cool. But we honestly think a lot of the good reception is just like nostalgia. That's what we think.
And that's my problem with Good Burger 2. It feels like it was solely just made just so to cash in on like the 90s nostalgia.
Yeah, and that's something I want to get into real quick before we fully go into this movie and just rip it apart. Then we'll get all the like 40-year-old millennials just like talking shit about us, sending us death threats. Yeah,
Yikes! But keep going.
Oh lord, that would be terrible. But yeah, we talked about this earlier as well. But yeah, it's just like after Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out in 2015, there's just been like this whole like just this new how do you say it, just a big like boom of like revival TV shows, movies, and all that. Now don't get me wrong, yeah, they existed even before like 2015, but I think 2015 when, you know, Star Wars episode 7, right? 7?
7.
Yeah, 7. Okay.
Just
Yeah, when
boom.
Star Wars episode 7 came out, that's when the whole like, you know, big boom of like revivals started to like happen. And like I said, there were revivals before, but they just didn't really pop up that often, if that makes any sense, you know?
Yeah.
Or
And if they did, they won't, you know, no one really cared about them.
Exactly, yeah.
It was really the internet that really solidified it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, because when the Beavis and Butthead revival came out in 2011, that was the first revival. Like the first episode, like it was a hit, but the other like series, half of the series, like no one really cared about it. Yeah, but that was when the internet wasn't really that like huge.
It
Like
was
back
still in
in,
its primitive. How do you say it?
it was in like its caveman
Caveman age.
Yeah, that was back when you could just like film a video of yourself like drinking a ton of Mountain Dew and acting like an idiot, then there you go, you got 1 million subs or
Yeah.
1 million views, excuse me. But yeah,
And I guess getting on with conclusions, like there have been, good ones because I feel
oh
like some
yeah,
of the revivals can, they can be made because to like and give a conclusion to a show.
oh
Like
yeah,
like Hey Arnold and Invader Zim, for example. Those shows never really got endings. They just kind of ended.
yeah,
So
yeah.
with revivals like that, I respect those because it's like we finally got the conclusion to what people wanted. But Good Burger 2 really had no purpose in being made but to cash in on nostalgia. The original Good Burger was, just a fun film that was based off what like an All That sketch. It was just a fine film, but 25 years later they say, "Let's make a new one."
Now, the reason why those two other films you mentioned work because they were conclusions, because the other shows ended on cliffhangers. So I feel like those like movies are actually kind of necessary, to conclude the story. But in a situation like Good Burger 2, it's more of like a cash in kind of thing.
Yeah, because like I said, Good Burger didn't even really have much of a story. It was, mainly a comedy, so there was really no
Exactly.
point in making another movie.
Yeah, there's really no point. I think Good Burger won. Oh, by the way, I actually have Good Burger VHS right here. I had this since I was a kid. I stole this from my sister because we love Good Burger. Even though we didn't grow up in the '90s, like some of you like 40-year-olds watching this, like we love this movie. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, but this was a good standalone film. It really didn't need a sequel. Now, it did have a book sequel that me and Braylon are planning to check out someday. It's called Good Burger to Go, and that should have been the
That's such
title
a
of this
good
movie.
title.
Yeah, Good Burger to Go. That should have been the title of Good Burger 2.
It's so clever, but what I like about the Good Burger To Go book is they knew like at the time that like, there's no point in making a Good Burger
Yeah.
sequel, so why not just make a little innocent, fun little book adaptation, you
Yeah, it's
know?
kind of it's kind of like what they did for Forrest Gump, because there was a sequel book. I believe so. I heard about a sequel book that was published a few years back, which was the sequel to Forrest Gump. And honestly, I could see why, sometimes like film companies would just do sequel books, because if you have a movie that's like really really good, that there's just no way you can top it. There's just no way.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
with the Good Burger To Go book, it was just, a fun, innocent film, and I mean not book, film book. And actually, I don't think much people even know about the book, so we might have to do a review on that one of these days.
yeah, we might have to. I'm actually really interested because I didn't know about the book till you told me about it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why I was blown away when they were even making a Good Burger too, because we already had like just a little small little book. But
Mm.
I guess now that book is retconned now, I guess. But
Yeah. Yeah. I guess no. I guess nobody besides like me and you are gonna check out that book.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you want to talk about? You want to
Yeah.
open
Let's
up
let's
the shit?
yeah. Let's dive into it. So I
Open
made a
up this
list.
cloth bag.
I made a list of the issues we have with the second Good Burger movie. So let's begin with the lack of identity, which I think is a really big problem for this movie. Like throughout the movie, it was pretty much, the movie is just a big reference to like Good Burger 1, just a big tribute film. You see, the thing is, if you're making a sequel to a movie, it has to stand on its own. It has to sort of be its own thing, kind of like Clerks 2, for example. Braylon doesn't really watch the Clerks series, but I love the Clerks series. You
Yeah.
see, Clerks 2, it's pretty different from Clerks 1. Clerks 1 was more of like a slice of life kind of thing. Clerks 2 was kind of a straight up comedy, but still Clerks 2 was able to stand on its own, because like I said, if you're making a sequel, it needs to be its own thing. But this movie, it's really just a huge reference to the first movie.
Oh, remember that
That's the
happened in
problem.
Good Burger 1? Look at that. That's from Good Burger
Yeah,
1.
exactly. It's just like, hey, look at this. This was in the first movie. Like, to be fair, they did make some reference in Clerks 2, but the thing is, those were like to a minimum. Like, you need to focus on the story. You know, you need to focus on showing a brand new story instead of, you know, making a bunch of references. You know.
Yeah, while watching Good Burger 2, I was just saying to myself this whole time, why am I watching this when I could just go
Yeah.
watch the original Good Burger?
Exactly. Like when I was watching it too, I was thinking the same fucking thing. I was like, bro, I could be watching like Good Burger 1 right now. Yeah. And like I said before, it's just not it's just not its own thing. It doesn't even try to do something like different with the story or anything. It, like we said, just a big reference. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
and actually that's the problem with a lot of nostalgic films, not even Good Burgers, just all of them are
Mhm.
just, remember what happened this last time? It's like, with that, it just makes you want to watch the other one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Has no identity.
No identity, and also the plot, we'll get into like the writing in a minute, but the plot was kind of just like all over the place.
It was, like, I know, like, the first Good Burger movie wasn't, like, a huge story. It's not like Godfather level storytelling. But, you know, it's a simple enough story, you know, two restaurants are colliding at each other. But, you
Mm,
know, it's fine that the story's simple because, you know, the focus is obviously on the comedy. But with this movie, the plot's, like, all over the place. That kind of just takes me away from the comedy, which, speaking of the comedy,
yeah.
it's not funny. I
Yeah,
do not think it's funny.
the one thing I want to talk about when it comes to the comedy of this film, like let's go back to Good Burger 1 for a moment. You see, the comedy in Good Burger 1, like, yes, there'll be sometimes Ed just does random things, but most of the time Ed is doing like jokes that has a punchline, you know, like the remember the meat patty scene?
The meat patty is
Oh yeah,
hilarious. Like that actually is one of
fucking
the most
hilarious.
like iconic like
Yeah, but
Nickelodeon scenes.
what he says is true. You know,
It's
he
true. Like
asked
he
meat
said
patty's
nothing
something.
on it. He
He,
said
yeah,
nothing.
yeah, he said nothing, so he gave him nothing. It makes sense, you know?
Like it's funny because it makes you think. It's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You see, that's what I loved about like all the Good Burger sketches and stuff. Like Ed's the type of idiot that will take things like literally. Like I remember this,
Yeah.
there was this one sketch in All That when this guy asked for like a good punch, so Ed just gives him a fucking knuckle
Punched him
sandwich.
in the fucking. Like
Yeah,
it's funny, and the movie is a good adaptation of all that. It's perfect. The meat patty. I'm trying to think of another good joke. There's a lot of funny jokes with the
oh
old
yeah,
man.
the beginning where like the construction worker wants like two good burgers, and then he says, "No, no, you can't go in back get some burgers. I have to give you them or something."
Oh yeah, and the part where like Ed is roller skating to work is hilarious when he
Oh
has like
yeah.
the baby with the basketball and these basketball players are like tossing the baby. I thought that was funny. It's stupid, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's just with this movie, it's more of just like random things with no punchline. You know,
Yeah.
it's almost, I'm not trying to say it's almost like modern Family Guy humor, but it kind of reminded me of it just a tiny bit. It's sort of like, hey, like this guy's taking a shit. Funny, right? You know?
Exactly. And I feel like
Yeah,
some of the humor even tried to copy the first movie. You remember the scene in the first movie where Mondeberger hooks up Ed with that one chick to get the recipe for the sauce?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
Ed keeps like like getting her hurt and all that. They
Uh-huh.
try to do that joke again with these people that try to like have like Ed like sign the thing to like sell Good
Yeah,
Burger with them
so
getting hurt. And it's like they tried to do the same joke again and it just doesn't work this time around.
no, I think it is pretty interesting. And okay, we getting into spoilers for this video, or should we
We
like stay away
who
from
gives a shit about Good
Yeah,
Burger 2
okay.
spoilers?
Yeah, okay, okay. So
Keep going.
basically, okay, what was really interesting about this movie, I will give the movie this, like this time Ed is the owner of the Good Burger, which I thought was an interesting take on the story. Um yeah, you know, it's an interesting take, but they really done so little with it besides like Ed selling the place, you know? Like you
Yeah, it's
gotta
just
think
kind of
about
all
it.
over the place.
Yeah, you gotta think about it. You know, remember that one scene in Good Burger 2 where Ed like, you know, puts syrup in the soap?
Yeah.
Like imagine if he just like let's say he becomes like the like okay, so let's say okay, he's the owner of the place. So, you know, he's just gonna give the whole Good Burger his own like pizzazz. So he ends up just putting like soap in all the fucking you know, soap dispensers in all the restrooms and shit, you know? Like I
If
think they
that
could have
would
done
be
something like that. They should have just had Ed like kind of fuck up the restaurant a little bit.
I said they had ideas, but they just, did nothing with them instead of just
Yeah.
making like stupid jokes and like none of them were really funny.
Yeah, but with Ed like owning the fucking like restaurant, I think there was a lot of opportunities for Ed, to do all sorts of stupid shit, and that could have created like a lot of great jokes. Like I can probably think of a few off the top of my head. Maybe like Ed gets into an argument with like a customer because I don't know, he like throws the pickles away in the fucking toilet or something.
Exactly.
Or maybe he just like leaves the pickles in the toilet and just like uses them or some
He
shit.
uses them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I thought of that off the top of my head, and that could definitely work. Yeah, it's a little bit of like a gross out kind of thing, but still.
Well, I mean, it works though. It's not just simple,
Yeah,
someone's taking a shit. It's
yeah.
actually, funny.
Now, what would have been a better idea is that Ed owns the restaurant, but he's just a complete fuck up. Like he's just fucking. Somehow in the movie they make you think like he's an okay owner because he managed to hire like a whole new team, and so far they're still getting business. So
Yeah. I kind of wish that was honestly more the story of the movie, just like Ed becoming the owner and like,
yeah,
changing up the. I feel like that would have been a
yeah.
much better story for the movie.
Yeah, maybe Ed like trying to become the owner of Good Burger after working there for so long. Yeah, that would have been a much better story.
Yeah,
And
maybe he has to call in Dexter like for his help and all that. Like saying
yeah,
like my business is going down. I need help.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Dexter could have tried to help him like, become the owner or something, or maybe like I don't know. It's just like another thing I want to mention about Dexter. I think it was kind of like a shitty move for Dexter to kind of, be greedy again.
Yeah,
You
because
know what
I
I
mean I
mean?
understand in the first movie because he was like he was like a teen
Yeah.
in the first movie, but I feel like this time around he's an adult. He should like know better by now.
Exactly. Yeah, he should know better. I just feel like that was a bad decision because like I think they should have like made his character a little bit more mature, but no, he's still pretty money hungry, as he was when he was like a
Yeah,
kid.
and it just kind of like retcons the whole thing in the first movie with
Now,
when people were calling out.
to be fair, he kind of has a reason to be a little money hungry because he has to pay off like his like car he smashed and his what was that his mom's car or was that like
I
yeah
think
yeah
that was yeah.
Yeah, that was his mom's car, so he has to pay off like his mom's car and his teacher's car. Yeah,
Yeah, so it made sense. And like I said, he was a teen too, so it makes sense for him to be, money hungry like that. And he learns his lesson, at the end of the movie when that one chick like calls him out for it.
hmm
So you would expect that he would learn his lesson like 25 years later, but he doesn't. It's just like it just
he
doesn't
doesn't
work.
learn his lesson.
It's like
Yeah,
this movie is like repeating like a lot of the same stuff that the first Good Burger did, but they're doing it in like one of the worst ways possible you could do.
exactly, exactly. I think a better idea was maybe like Ed is at the verge of like signing off, the rights to Good Burger, but then Dexter just stops him. I
And I
think
guess
that would have been
I want to
better.
talk about that too with like these people trying to like get him to like sign it. Like on paper it doesn't sound like a bad idea, people are trying to like buy Good Burger, but then once they do it, it just takes a different direction with like, oh, the person who's doing that is like the sister of like the Mondo Burger guy, and then now they're making Good Burger into like a computer thing. It felt like it just showed up just out of nowhere.
Exactly.
It just makes no sense. Well, like I said, I know Good Burger is not like the best storytelling, but at least make it have some sort of sense. They try to do too much with it, and it just makes you confused. And like I said, it makes you confused that you're more focused on that than the comedy, which your comedy should be your main thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they only made her the sister of the Mondo Burger guy just so, remember the Mondo Burger guy? He was in the first movie.
Yeah, I'm
That,
trying my
that
best not to like say yeah and exactly over and over again because I know people are gonna get pissed off by that. Okay, but I digress. I digress. So, uh, yeah, I agree with you on that. Fuck, I just said it again.
it's
Fucking
fine. Keep
asshole.
going. Keep
God damn
going.
it. I say that a lot. I say that so fucking much for some reason. Okay, but I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. They're just saying, "Oh, look." It's kind of like the one Wojak meme. You know that one meme?
Yeah.
Look,
Look.
look over there. It's a reference to Good Burger 1. Like, bro.
Yeah, and they do that. They do it again. You know, you remember like how I talked about like the chick in the first movie that was like the hooker trying to hit
Oh
on Ed.
yeah,
Well, they
Roxanne. Yeah.
they randomly bring her back in the second movie. I mean, it's just a simple joke, but it's just another example of being like, look, she was in Good Burger 1.
Good burger. Good
Yeah.
burger.
I guess that's one thing though I will give a plus though to the movie is you know the scene when Ed brings Dexter into like his house and his house is like fucking weird and shit.
It's just he Ed is just a consumer. He's just a giant consumer of products.
Yeah, I wish like I said though they did all that stupid shit like you said they did that stupid shit in the actual restaurant.
Wait, hold up. Actually, I kind of want to learn the lore of Ed right now. I kind of want to know more of his lore. Like, was he like a kid that was obsessed with Good Burger or something?
Maybe I think he was just some random guy because he doesn't really have much of a story. He just started
Yeah.
working at Good Burger.
Exactly. It's like when he started working at Good Burger. That's just where his life begins.
His life began.
Yeah, I could just imagine like maybe he just had a pretty boring life, but he started working at Good Burger.
He
and
started
was
working
like,
at Good Burger and solidified himself.
that's just his life at this point. So he just decorates his room with like posters of like food and stuff. Like, and yeah, it's just like Ed is just he's one of those like weird fast food fans. You know about those like fast food fans who are obsessed with like McDonald's and stuff?
Yeah, the guy that eats Big Macs every day.
Like, oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, the guy who eats Big Macs every day. I feel like Ed was probably one of the OG like people who were obsessed with like restaurants and shit. You know, like the OG Mike Matei.
The OG. I guess like on the topic of like Ed and all that, I guess we could talk about characters. So in the first movie, we had other characters besides Ed and Dexter. We had like the old man. We had that one chick that was Dexter was trying to hook up with. And,
Yeah, Monique, right? Monique.
yeah, just a few other minor characters. They weren't like huge characters or anything, but it was nice to see him. And the old guy I thought he was funny in the first.
Oh yeah,
one.
he's dead now, so they could.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Unless they do
And-
like CGI or AI or some shit, they could do that.
Yeah, but probably not. I probably
yeah.
wouldn't do that. But I guess like, what's your opinion on like the characters this time around? Because we had like the twins and
Yeah, the one Indian kid who was the manager.
yeah, and then
And
there
then
was
we
like
had Dexter's nephew or something.
Dexter's nephew had like all of like Ed's kids and all that.
Yeah, Ed has like 7 fucking kids.
That was honestly the only thing. That was like honestly the only interesting thing I can say about any of those characters. Most of those
Yeah.
characters were just
They're
alright.
all just one dimensional. Like with the original cast, like don't get me wrong, the characters they weren't really all that special, but they were kind of like fun. They had their own like personalities and everything.
They were fun. I mean, some of them were definitely one-dimensional, like that big
Yeah.
guy that just like doesn't talk.
Yeah,
He wasn't
yeah.
that great, but
Who
like
ate a fucking fly off like a spatula or something.
yeah. But we had other ones, like I said, the old man,
Yeah.
Monique, the manager, which he's played by a man that we should not name. But
And the guy who says Hadio, what was his name? What the fuck? He's just like the drive-through guy or something.
he's the drive-through guy. Like they were cute
Yeah,
little.
they
kids.
brought him back in this movie. Like he was just frozen in that.
He was just frozen.
Yeah.
Which once
It's
again,
like
though,
that episode in SpongeBob where like
SB129.
Squidward gets yeah, when Squidward gets locked in there.
I mean, I guess it's kind of funny, but I mean, I'll give it that. It's obviously just a joke, being like, look, he was in the first movie. But I'll give it a props. I would say it's one of the better jokes in the movie, because I mean, it is kind of funny that this man would just be frozen for 20 years because Ed forgot to like open the door.
It's so fucked up.
That's kind of funny, but like I said, the rest of the movie is just.
Yeah, it's so fucked up because he said like he missed high school, college, and just half of his life. He was just
Yeah.
stuck in that fucking freezer. That would be depressing, bro. If I was that guy,
depressing.
I would legit kick Dead's ass. Like, bro, you made me like. Yeah, it's just like you literally like ruined my fucking life. I never got to live like my full life past high school.
Yeah, so I guess that's like one joke I can say is it's kind of funny, just the fact that this guy was frozen, but. That's like really the only one I can think of, and even then, it's still one of those jokes where it's just like, look, but
Yeah, Yeah. Okay, I'll stop doing that. I'm just doing a lot of cringy shit in this
It's all good.
video.
I mean, it's more funny than this actual movie,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah. I guess the cringe moments we do here is pretty funny,
I
I
guess, do you
guess.
want to talk about like the pacing?
Yeah, the pacing was pretty bad.
To me, like even watching it, it was like this is off for some reason.
Yeah, I feel like the first Good Burger, it did a great job at like in the beginning the pacing was a little fast, but once they started getting into like the meat and potatoes of the story, the pacing started to slow down just a little bit. I feel like
Yeah,
that was a good decision, but with this movie it's like, "Oh, we're doing this, now we're doing this," you know?
it's like all over the place. I feel like they're just like writing the story as they go on, like just no idea to it. I'm just
And the story isn't really all that great, you know? Like, there's no like. Here's the one thing that kind of disappointed me. It wasn't like a, you know, like a crazy like fun adventure like the first one was. Because the first one, it was a simple plot, but the adventure was so much fun. Like, you
yeah,
know,
it's
you
just
see
these
these,
two
yeah,
competitors, reaching out like, and then they make a sauce that like everyone loves, and they try to poison the sauce.
yeah, and then they find out like the guys at Mondo Burger are using like illegal substances to like make the burgers a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And then they get locked up in a mental ward. Then they put damn shark poison in the sauce. Like, bro,
And I know
when
like
I
the
watched
asylum thing is like, pretty out of hand. But oh, you know what makes the asylum different though than this movie's
what?
crazy stuff? It's funny. The asylum stuff is
Yeah,
hilarious. Like Ed starts dancing and stuff with all these insane people. It's funny.
it is hilarious. Yeah, but
And then he
the
like
shark
hooks up with
poison
like this
stuff.
like mentally insane chick. It's funny.
Honestly, they're meant for each other. They are meant
They
for
are
each
meant
other.
for each other. They are like at
Yeah.
the same level of
Ed
craziness.
fits right in with a mental ward. He fits right in with the mental
Fits
ward.
right
Really,
in,
he'll
but
fit right in.
that's the thing though, like it had its story and it was funny the whole time. This movie is just all over the place and it's not funny.
I still remember the part where like Dexter was playing cards with like the crazy people that kept eating the cards.
Yeah,
Like,
look
yes.
look about us. We're talking more positive about the first movie than the second movie, which brings up the first problem is when you talk about the second movie, you just want to watch the first movie more.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just
Okay.
it's-
Okay. Okay. I'm trying not to say yeah, but yes, I agree with that. Yeah, it's like when you watch this movie, you just want to watch the first movie more because it's just so much better. Because the first movie, like I said, it was like a big, huge adventure. And one thing I was going to mention real quick, the shark poison thing. Like when I was rewatching, I was like, holy shit, that is extreme. Like Mono Burger is willing to kill people just to
willing to
get the
kill
burger.
people
Yeah,
just to
that's
get them out of the
fucked up.
business.
That is so fucked up. They're willing to kill people just to get Good Burger out of business. Like,
But you remember when you see that scene, it stays in your mind like, oh
yeah,
my gosh. And that's the problem with this movie is I'm gonna be honest, I when I watched this movie, I forgot about most of it. I had
yeah,
to watch it a
but
second time because how forgettable it was.
yeah, but the dude who runs like Mondo Burger, what's his name? Like Kurt, I
Kurt
think?
something. Yeah,
Kurt.
he's a fucking maniac.
He's a dictator, bro. Like literally, like when he was like training, you know, like Dexter, when Dexter tried to work at Mondo Burger, he was like, you can forget about your family, your life is Mondo Burger. Like, bro, this guy is insane.
It's hilarious though. This man is like over the top about just some fast food restaurant.
Yeah, and he was a better like a villain because that villain he was just like he's this like over the top psychotic capitalist that's willing to kill people just to get like a restaurant shut down that's competing with them. While the villain in Good Burger 2, she's really just an annoying businesswoman. That's all
Just
she
an annoying
is.
businesswoman that's is the sister of Kurt. It's not interesting at all, and
I feel like they probably wanted to make her more psychotic like her, but I felt like they just played it too safe is what I'm trying to
they
say.
did. Cause what made
Yeah.
Kurt so good is like he said the over the top shit, like
Yeah.
your life is my burden, and he tried to kill people. Like that's
Yeah.
it's fucked up, but it's memorable. You remember that stuff after you stop watching it.
The thing is, they could have done it because like kids nowadays are so used to that shit. If you don't believe me, I want to tell you a story real quick on how kids are so used to dark shit. Do you want to hear like a really like insane story my girlfriend told
Go
me?
ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay. Now this is going to be hard to believe. Now I just want to let you know these aren't kids in like middle school. These are kids in like daycare, elementary, or whatever. You see, my girlfriend works at a church, and she has to like teach kids and stuff. And these are like elementary or daycare kids. You want to know what one of the kids were doing?
What? What were
They
they
were
doing?
they were recreating 9/11 with blocks.
What the fuck?
I'm not fucking with you. They were
These-
recreating 9/11 with blocks.
These kids are fucking insane.
That is Chin Alpha right there.
And also, with them
Yeah.
playing it safe too, isn't Good Burger 2 trying to appeal to the millennials anyway? Isn't that what they're
Yeah.
trying to do? So, like, why should they be scared about, like, what's risky and not?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Gen Alpha, they could definitely appeal to Gen Alpha, because like I said, they have a fucked up sense of humor.
Yeah, I just don't understand, like, why they try to play it safe, because all we got was just some generic businesswoman that wasn't
Yeah.
funny or interesting. It was just
Yeah,
forgettable.
yeah, it was just very forgettable. She's just like a greedy businesswoman. There's really nothing like special about her, you know. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
and the
just think
whole
they could have made the movie have some like darker elements, like the first Good Burger had, you know.
yeah.
I feel like they
And there
could
was
have.
some other comedy stuff that was funny in the first one. You know something I thought was funny? You know the teacher that like got his car wrecked and all
Oh
that?
yeah, his name's
I kind
Mr.
of like how he
Weasel.
gets his payback at the end when like the fucking giant Mondo Burger like crushes his
Oh,
car.
he was
Like,
just like,
that was
what?
funny.
What?
Like he
Oh,
wasn't anything to the story, but just seeing him come back at the very end, just see his car get wrecked.
okay.
It's funny. I just feel like the first Good Burger, had that like kind of edgy sense of humor. Just
Yeah. Yeah, they were able to be like edgy without actually like being offensive, if that makes any sense.
yeah.
And
But this
I felt like this Good Burger, I felt like they could have done it, but like we said, they just wanted to play it safe for some reason.
Which changes the human. That's why the movie's so forgettable. Actually, I think that's the best way to explain the movie. Forgettable. You might
Yeah.
watch it one time, but you'll just forget about it and watch the first one and remember that
Mhm.
one more.
Yeah, and and like I said, like a lot of people like the movie, but we just didn't like it, and now
It,
now you know the reason why.
yeah, it just wasn't. I just thought it was forgettable and tried
Yeah.
too much to appeal to like the '90s kids with like all the references. It has no identity. That's the best way to describe the movie. Lack of identity, lack of like comedy, and just
Bad pacing,
bad pacing,
bad characters.
bad characters, weird story, and just a forgettable film.
Exactly, and also like I said, lack of jokes, because they could have created like a lot of funny jokes, especially with like Ed owning the restaurant. But that was just a big missed opportunity. Like they literally could have had a chance to make some great jokes that could have turned into like memes, possibly.
Yeah, I guess on the topic of jokes, there are two like gags or jokes that did make me
Oh yeah,
laugh. The
we
first
should
one
get
is
into
the
the
orange
pros
soda.
about this movie. We should get into the pros as well.
Yeah, the orange soda, the Keenan and Kel reference. That is actually I smiled at that because it was a very subtle reference with like the orange soda, but I think it was funny.
Yeah, Keenan and Kel. That's another like show we need to talk about. You see,
We do. I love Keenan and Kel.
yeah, and the thing is, like, the people that grew up in the '90s are probably just so surprised that us Gen Z, because we were both born in the early 2000s, but they're probably
Yeah.
so surprised that we have nostalgic memories to like the show, to these.
I remember
shows and
watching
stuff.
it on reruns and having like
Yeah.
a DVD of it. It's a good show, and it was a subtle reference. It's not like
I
the
I
ones in
watched.
this movie.
I'm trying to remember. I watched like some of the episodes on YouTube for free, because I think you could still watch all those like all of that episodes and
You
Kingdom
can.
Hell episodes for free on YouTube. I think they're all free on YouTube. I think. I
Yeah,
could be
but
wrong.
no, the reference is subtle though. It's not like the other ones that'll be like, look, that was in the first movie. It's a subtle reference that only
Mhm.
like Keenan and Kel people will understand.
Oh man, it's just this is bringing back so many memories, because I remember all these like funny Keenan and Kel episodes about them doing like all sorts of stupid shit.
Yeah, well,
Oh
I think we need to
man,
talk about that like another time on this show.
someday,
But
yeah.
and I guess another one that made me laugh. I thought it was more just for ironic, but Young Gravy just
Yeah,
showing
Young
up. That was
Gravy.
kind of funny.
Yeah, Young Gravy was in the fucking movie. Oh
Like in the
man,
context of the movie, it makes no sense, but out of context, it's pretty funny
he's
just to
just
see this
there.
guy just show up.
he's just there in the movie for some reason. We need to check out the song. How does it go? Like we're grooving or something?
We grooving.
We're grooving. Fuck, I can't remember the lyrics, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty cool to have him in there.
Yeah, but those are about the only two stuff I can think of that really put a smile to me. Everything else, it was just
They had a few celebrity cameos in the movie. And also, do you remember the part where like Ed's just like, maybe we get some celebrities to like endorse,
Yeah.
the burger or something, and then it just shows like literally like just a bunch of cameos or something from these like random celebrities. Like I didn't even know who any of them were.
I don't know. Maybe I don't keep up with modern day, but I didn't know like hardly any of those people.
Like literally, I thought like, okay, who's this guy? Who's that guy? Who are these?
Are these like
people?
TikTokers? I don't even know who the fuck most of these people
A
are.
lot. They all look like washed up actors from like a TV show that was maybe popular in the 90s or something.
Yeah, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah, I just
But-
had no clue, but I think that was a really dumb scene because they literally just took all this footage on their phone and it just didn't really match the movie. Like
It
honestly,
didn't.
the whole movie just feels like a fucking video. To be honest, it just feels like
It does. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a movie.
It just doesn't. I wish they would have gotten like the I guess like the look and the style of the first movie. You know how the first movie has that sort of style to it.
It's kind of like well, has a. I know what you mean, but I'm trying to
Like
think.
I would say like an older style to it. I wish they would have recreated that older style.
Like a classical style.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like instead of like the audio being perfect, the audio is just kind of fucked up because like in the okay, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I just wish more movies can do this. Like the audio sounds more natural, like they're in a room.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that kind of stuff. Like I know it's fucking weird, but I like that kind of stuff. There's actually a movie that's coming out recently that takes place in the 70s, and it looks and sounds like a 70s film.
Yeah, which I wish more movies did that. That's amazing.
Exactly.
But
I just hope one day, hopefully one day, if there's like a 90s tribute film, hopefully we can get
make it like a 90s film.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want like the sound to be like perfect. I want the sound to be like you're in a room.
Like
you
in a
know?
room, like a lot of 90s films.
Yeah, like in those 90 movies. Yeah, I just wish they could have done something like that. Which, I mean, I understand why they didn't do it, but the thing is, I just wish the style looked a little more cinematic, if that makes any sense. Kind of
Yeah,
like
the
if you watch
presentation. It didn't just. Yeah, but
Yeah, and also the beginning of the movie, like, it was like Ed singing. Ed just like starts singing out of nowhere.
honestly, I hardly even remember the opening. Like, that's just how forgettable it was. Like
Exactly. Like we're just trying to. We should have just rewatched this before.
I ended up rewatching, but even like 2 rewatches, I just like hardly remember it.
It's that's how forgettable it is because like after I watched it, I immediately said, okay, I gotta watch the original and see if it's just a nostalgia.
I'm gonna
And-
rewatch the original right after this again. I love the original.
Yeah, and I rewatched the original recently, and it still holds up very well.
It's funny. It's like it's goofy, but like the jokes, were clever and
Yeah,
characters were interesting. The plot, it's not like anything crazy, but it's fun and like said the antagonist, he's so over the top, but you love it because of that. It's an
Yeah.
unforgettable film. It's a
Yeah.
memorable movie.
and the celebrity. Well, actually, there was just one celebrity cameo in that movie. That was Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal, yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah.
And
yeah.
that one was just him like eating a burger. And at least I know like Shaquille O'Neal like
Yeah, who
obviously in the
doesn't know?
90s. Obviously in the 90s he was peak, but he's still like recognizable. to
Oh
this
yeah,
day.
exactly. Like even when I was a kid, like everyone knew who Shaquille O'Neal was. Like, okay, I just unlocked a memory. I remember one time I was watching the movie on this exact same tape with one of my friends back in the day, and so there's a scene where when Shaquille O'Neal comes up, and my friend was going crazy, like Matthew, that's Shaquille O'Neal. I'm just like, wait, what? Because I'm a fucking nerd. I don't know anything about sports. And I was just like, oh, okay. Because to me, that was just a basketball player they love. But my friend was just like, bro, you don't know who Shaq is? He was going nuts. He was like, you
He was
don't
going nuts.
know who he is? Yeah, I mean, I know who he is now because I'm cultured now. But back then,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And obviously now he's in much more movies and stuff now. Like I mean, he's the guy who owns like Papa John's now. So
Really? Shaq? Wait, hold up. Shaq owns Papa John?
I think he owns Papa John's. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Holy shit.
After the guy got canceled, he took over. He's like the new spokesperson for Papa John's. They have a new pizza at Papa John's called the Shaq-a-roni pizza. You might have to. I might have to try that. I might have to do it.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty funny because Papa John's he got canceled for saying the N word, and now
Yep.
Shaq was just like, all right, I'm gonna get you back. So
I'm gonna get you guys back.
yeah, he got him back good. Yeah,
Yeah,
props to
but
Shaq, man.
I guess getting back to Good Burger 2, I have a rating system. I go on like scale to 1 to 10. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah,
It's not a bad movie. It's not the worst movie on earth. I think there's much worse movies I've seen. Anyway, Turtles 3. But it is a bad movie. It's
tape
just
right here.
get that shit out of
We
here.
don't even talk about this one day. Turtles
We're gonna
3.
have to talk about that. Why
Yeah.
I think it's the
Yo,
worst.
I don't
But
just have one. I got two tapes.
2
I
tapes.
got two.
I'm
I'm
we'll
gonna
talk
smash
about
one
that.
of
That
these.
might have to be the next. Oh, I hate that movie. Put that shit back.
Oh my god.
No, 3 out of 10. Just forgettable. Tries too hard to be like the first movie, and just nothing
Turtle-
really to it.
Turtles 3 is just your kryptonite. That's your fucking
Yeah. Oh, I
kryptonite.
hate it. But no, that's Good Burger 2. Just a forgettable,
Yeah, forgettable.
nostalgic cash in.
And I feel like this is an interesting perspective because, like I said, we didn't grow up in the '90s. You know, we grew up in like the late 2000s and early 2010s, but we were still able to consume like those '90s content. So I think this is a way more interesting perspective.
Yeah, because we
like,
we love Good Burger. We
Yeah.
thought the first movie's great, but it's just this one.
Yeah, it's just I feel like if we actually grew up in the time where like this movie like peaked, it had its big peak. I feel like we would be a little more biased to it, you know. Like don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, we love the movie, but I wouldn't say it's something that we're like super nostalgic for because it's not necessarily our time, you know. Which is ironic for me to say because I got a lot of tapes and retro stuff in the bag, but it's more like retro stuff is more like a big interest for us, you know, because even when we were growing up, it was kind of considered like Good Burger and shit was kind of considered pretty old, even during
Yeah.
that time.
So maybe like the movie was just really made. But like I said, if the movie was gonna be made for that millennial group, like I said, they should have, not played it safe and still took risk like they did.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But yeah, but we could say we do have some nostalgia towards this movie. We do have nostalgia.
I mean, I grew up with it, like in elementary. I mean, I found a DVD of it, and I started watching it, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I was still stuck in the dark times, man. Like my family was still using tapes. We were still using VHS tapes in like 2012.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but it's a fun film.
Yeah,
But-
it's a fun film. Yeah, that's
Oh,
why
what's
I'm
your
so obsessed
What's
with
your
it.
rating?
Probably the same as yours, like
3 out of 10.
3
Yeah.
out of 10, definitely. Yeah,
Just not that movie.
just
Wow.
not a good movie. It's Bad Burger. That's what it is. It's just
Bad burger. It's just
Bad burger.
it's just ass burger.
Ass burger. Ass burger.
It's a
Ed-
shit.
Ed got a lot of ass.
It's a shit burger.
Wait, hold on. Was Monique like Ed's wife or bro? That's how forgettable this movie.
I
fucking
don't even
is.
remember.
Bro, hold up. I gotta look it up. Was Monique in there? Like, okay. If Monique was his wife, I'm gonna fucking freak because, hold up. Good, Asperger.
It's
Fucking
just
ass
it's just a
burger.
giant ass sandwich.
Yeah.
Now,
And
you know
what
that
was-
shouldn't be that funny. Just me saying an ass burger, but it's funny.
It is funny.
It's just
okay.
ass. It's just a shit movie.
Rando. Okay, I'm gonna have to go on the IMDb to see if Monique's there. Yeah, and also there was this like last scene in there where like Dexter meets like his aunt or something.
I forgot about that too.
He meets his like aunt. Like, what does she have to do with anything? Like, who the fuck is she? Is that his mom? Wait, is that his mom?
Is it? Maybe.
I don't know. I actually don't know who the fuck that is. Okay, I don't think Monique is in this. I'm looking on the IMDb page. I don't see her.
Yeah. So she's just gone.
Yeah, I don't think that was her. I mean, I could be wrong. You know, correct us if we're wrong.
But
Yeah.
Good
Good. Yeah, Good Burger too. It was a
shit burger.
Shit
Yeah.
burger.
Shit
It was
burger.
Shit burger. Shit for the birds. That's what it was.
Just just read the book Good Burger 2 Go. That's
Or
still a better title. I will stand by that. That is a
yeah,
much
Good
better
Burger
title.
to Go. That was a way better title. So much fucking better.
So much better. But I think we'll talk about that in another episode.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Matthew, for being on
No
today's
problem.
episode. And is there anything else you want to say on?
I wanted to get more into like these these like revival and reboot films and TV shows. Like I know like lots of people already talked about it, but I just want to get into it real quick and talk about like the origins of it real quick before we end
All
this.
right.
Yeah, but like I said in the beginning, we kind of mentioned how like it really started with The Force Awakens. Then after that, it just like exploded. Just a huge big load just went on the film industry, and honestly, it might be a permanent staple. Unfortunately,
Yeah, and watch it, and I guarantee you, in the next 10 years or so, people are gonna start cashing out on 2000s media.
hmm
Just
and honestly, I don't think it's going to change till our generation gets in there, or at least like the millennials or whatever. Because like these big companies aren't run by young people; they're run by like greedy old
gritty
businessmen.
old corporate people. Yeah.
Exactly, because like look at the writer's strike. Like these like people who run these companies, like they don't give a fuck about creativity. They give a fuck about money. Like they don't care. Like they don't care if the product's good or bad. As long as there's publicity and money involved, they'll do it. They
And I
don't
get
give
it,
a
like
fuck.
money is the main priority, but like you could tell that they just do not give a shit.
Yeah, they don't care as long as they can like pump some shit out and the audience will eat it up. That's all they fucking care about. The thing is like I really miss it when these companies took risk on original like projects. I think that's one of
Rather
the
it
reasons.
was good or bad, like it was
Yeah,
still risk.
yeah, it was still a risk. I'm sorry about that. Okay, my camera might fuck up, so I'm just gonna turn off my camera for a little bit because my camera's probably gonna fuck up later.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna turn off my camera, but yeah, man, it's just like I really miss when they took risk. Like, yeah, they'll have a shitty movie here and there, but you're still doing like original projects. You're still like trying to like bring something new to the table
Exactly. And
instead of like doing like the millionth idea. I mean, like the same thing over and over again.
I think next time I have you on the show, I think we might have to do an episode just on how nostalgic media is and like what's the future for it, because it's gonna stick around for a while.
Unfortunately, and honestly, the only reason there should be a revival of any show or like movie is if it's necessary.
If it's necessary, like if it ended off on a cliffhanger or like it
Yeah,
got canceled like abruptly, that's the time to do it.
yeah, that's the best time to do it. And if they're gonna do a sequel to something, I think the best thing to do instead of like just waiting years later, it might be best just to do it maybe a few years later, kind of like with the Rocky series, because the Rocky
Yeah.
series is only like a few years apart. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
the
and
best
do
decision.
something with it. And
Do something different
the
with
Rocky
it.
movies are a good example too. You had like Rocky Balboa, which was a pretty satisfying conclusion to his story.
Yeah, then we get into like the Creed movies.
Which I consider those like both sequels were also kind of like its own thing, just depending
Mhm.
on which one. But that's a story for another video.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Like when you're making a sequel, it really just has to be like its own thing. It has to stand on its own as a movie. It can't just be a tribute to the first movie. Yeah, you could put in some
yeah,
references here and there, but it has to stand on its own.
like I said, there's nothing wrong with having a tribute to a movie, but like give it its own identity.
Exactly. Like the Rocky sequels, like Rocky 2, 3, 4, and every sequel has its own identity. It can stand on
Identity,
its own.
you remember which one. You see Mr. T,
Yeah.
you know which one that is. And a lot of like older movies, you wouldn't even know that they were tributes. The first Indiana Jones movie, the entire Indiana Jones franchise is actually a tribute to old school like 50s shows. Like
Oh,
that was
yeah.
it was a tribute, but it's become so like unique and great that it's become like its own thing. Like it still
Exactly.
has that tribute in them, but it's its own identity.
Kind of like Rick and Morty, how like we all knew in the beginning Rick and Morty was a parody of Back to the Future, but later it formed its own
It
identity.
has its own identity, has its own
Yeah,
fan base now.
exactly. Like I think it's fine. Like here's the thing: if you're gonna take an existing product, like instead of just like rehashing the same story, just take that clay and just mold it into something else.
Mold it into something new. You have something that exists already. Mold it into your own thing.
And
Give it an identity.
another example is like the Joker that came out in 2019. Like they decided to give Joker like a brand new origin, a brand new story, you know?
Yeah, exactly, and it worked perfectly. It's one of the best films I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was the highest it was the highest grossing rated R film of all time.
Yeah, and it well deserved.
Yeah,
I
you see,
said do stuff like that.
yeah, that's what happens when you like. And here's the way, in a way, like doing something like that, it's still kind of original in a way, you know. Even though it's kind of like take an existing product and sort of like reshaping it, it's still kind of like an original thing in some weird way, you know. Like
Exactly,
if they
exactly.
want to rehash products, just do something completely different with it that people would like.
Exactly. I agree. That's the thing to do, and it works too. Like I said, Joker, you said it was the highest rating R-rated film. It can work, but these
Maybe
companies just don't want to take risk.
now, one thing I want to mention, maybe they could have done that with Good Burger because I remember like I was talking with a few friends and they said maybe they should just make a movie with like IShowSpeed and KSI and they just go around doing all sorts of stupid shit. Like I don't know if that will work because IShowSpeed, he doesn't really go off of a script; it's more like improvised.
And he's still
But
pretty like relatively young, I would say.
yeah,
He's like
yeah,
he's the same age as me. But
yeah, he's like roughly around the same age as us, like 18 to 20, right?
yeah, but I mean, I could see him, getting in the future, but that's another story for
Yeah,
him. But
yeah, I don't think so. But that's just an example of like, you know, creating something new. And hell, maybe they could have created like a whole new Good Burger. Maybe they could have done
yeah,
that.
make a new good, but with like new people. Like you can have like references to like maybe like Ed and Dexter, but
Well,
maybe have some.
maybe not like an exact sequel with new characters, but sort of like something different, you know. Don't even call it Good Burger, you know?
Yeah, call it like something else. You can have it like, be inspired off of Good Burger, but
Mhm.
have it like another restaurant story, but it's not Good Burger, it's like an entirely new
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah, like an entirely new thing. I think that would be like really interesting if they would have done something like that.
Yeah, there's just so much to say on like how hot like Hollywood is now. It's such a weird mess, right? It's been for like the past almost 10 years now. It's just
I understand it's really, really hard to be creative, but sometimes you really just gotta like, you know, do the millionth ideas. And like, here's the thing: if you pump out shit, at least it's interesting shit, and people will talk about
yeah.
it and want to touch it, maybe eat it. But you know,
Yeah, so they have these studios have that creative spark, but they don't want to take risk anymore because they know like these nostalgic things are easy money, so they'll just do that.
and it's sad. It's sad because you know it's just you got. And this is something I want to mention real quick before we end this. Like, if they keep going this route, we won't have any films that define the decade. Because if you go back to like the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, you can find any film from that time and say, "Wow, this film defines this decade." Go to like the mid 2010s, like 2015 to 2019. There's no film that
There's
defines that
exactly
decade.
none. Because
Nothing.
like you can go in the 80s. What's a thing from the 80s? Indiana Jones. The 90s. What's something from the 90s?
Fight Club,
Fight
The
Club.
Matrix, The
The
Matrix.
Matrix. And then you go to the 2000s, and you have Lord of the Rings, and you have all these movies. Like you have
Exactly.
something from Harry Potter from the
Yeah, Harry
2000s. You have all
Potter.
these things.
The SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it defiled like that era, but with the in the early 2010s, it still kept a little bit of it, but like I said, 2015 onward, it just the same old shit. Like just bring it back.
Well. To be fair, the 2010s did have an identity. Like that was like the big decade for like superhero movies. So I mean,
Yeah.
we'll give it that. Yeah, I mean, you can pretty much define it with like Marvel movies and
Marvel and like all these superheroes, because that's what revived the superhero genre. But
yeah,
that's the only one I can think of
yeah,
really
the
that comes to mind.
superhero genre wasn't as big as it was in the 2010s. Like in the 2010s, especially 2019, that's when Endgame and Joker came out.
Endgame came out, but even I mean in the 2000s it was kind of there, but it was mainly only really Spider-Man that was like the one that
Yeah,
hit off. But now you have all these films, but now they're
yeah,
even getting worse now with the 2020s. They're just cashing in on it now. It's just
yeah. It was just like in the 2000s, it was kind of like Spider-Man and Batman, but now it's just Marvel movie after Marvel movie.
yeah, and after they're just doing it now with like they're trying to like make like an entirely like new universe when like the universe we had is just fine. It's that could be another video as its own. It's messy, but the 2010s, it's just that
It's
weird
kind of
era.
it's a weird era. Yeah, it's a very weird era, and even like the 2020s is a little weird era
It's
because
just
like
I feel like it's just continuing on from the the mid 2010s.
exactly, it's kind of continuing on. You know, there hasn't really been like a film that kind of defines the 2020s. I mean, to be fair, we're only like 3 years into the decade, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see, what this decade gives us.
Yeah, like what happens by like 2027 or something. Shit,
Yep.
by that time I'll be 24.
Yeah, like no
2027.
kidding,
I'll be
but
24. Holy fuck, we'll be old as shit.
we're gonna be old as shit. Hopefully they actually, Hollywood actually gets good again, but we'll see.
Hopefully. Yeah, by 2027, how old would you be?
Well, let's see, 2027. Because you're only older than me by like 2. I'll be like 22, 23. I have to look, but I'll be just old as shit. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you'll be around. Like,
I'll be past 21. I will say that. I'll be past
okay.
21.
Well, to be fair, you're not like fully an adult till like 25. To be fair.
Yeah, that's when your brain develops. But
Yeah.
I
mean, we'll still be kids
for the
by
kids out
then.
here that are watching this video, you can do your own research. Stay in school, but
Yeah. All right. Well, we better wrap this up.
Yeah,
now.
I think we'll wrap this up. I guess before we end it off, Matthew, is a meat patty a thing?
Look, dude, a meat patty is something. You said
A
nothing.
meat patty is something. If you say nothing on it, I'm gonna give you a bun. You know what? If next day I come into work, if someone asks me give me a cheeseburger with nothing on it, I'm gonna give them just the bun. I'm kidding. Don't actually do that. If you do that, you will get fired. Do
Oh
not
yeah,
do that.
no, do it. They would love it. If they say, "Hey, I want a burger with nothing on it," just give them nothing.
Yeah, give them nothing. Alright, but that's gonna wrap up the episode. Thank you to Move Out Productions, Matt,
no
for
problem.
being on the episode. We will probably have another episode with him on. Like, just let us know. But, yeah, that's gonna wrap off the video. Thank you for watching, guys.
All right. See you guys later.